California just stole an election right before our eyes, and the worst part is they're not even denying it anymore. They are fully admitting to rigging elections in their favor and bragging that it's perfectly legal under California state law. But even though Democrats likely won the battle, they've already lost the war because the United States Supreme Court is about to make their entire fraudulent voting scheme illegal. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But let's start with video evidence that California Democrats are paying homeless people on the streets of Los Angeles to vote for their candidates.
Fraudulent petitioners on Skid Row are now paying the homeless to forge names, forge addresses, and forge signatures of registered voters.
So do you want to sign? Okay. The first name.
I'm Joseph Albright. Okay.
The first name.
Joseph Albright. What are you using? Teresa.
No, I'm gonna give you your address to write.
Oh, okay.
Follow directions.
Okay, yeah.
Robert.
Quickly becoming a widespread scheme that can be found on almost every street corner in downtown Los Angeles.
So it's safe to assume that homeless fentanyl addicts aren't politically involved and voting isn't one of their top priorities. But for Democrats, this is one of their most lucrative strategies because they can sit on tens of thousands of ballots and allocate them accordingly days, if not weeks, after Election Day. That's how Nithya Raman, who cried during her concession speech on Election Day because she was so far in third place, artificially started receiving over 40% of the vote for mail-in ballots that arrived 5 or 6 days after the election. She came in third place in her own city council district. Yet we're supposed to believe it's totally reasonable and legitimate that 5 days after the election, the citywide mail-in ballots have her as by and far the most popular candidate. But this level of blatant election fraud has been occurring in California for 2 decades. Here's a news clip from 2010 of Kamala Harris barely beating her Republican opponent in a statewide election after 4 weeks of counting votes.
4 weeks after the November 2nd election, California finally has declared a winner in the Attorney General race. Harris finished so close to her Republican opponent that it took a month to finish counting every vote. She won by less than 1 percentage point.
So in the statewide election for Attorney General, Kamala Harris barely won by less than 1% after 4 weeks of counting votes. That video disproves the notion that we've all been expected to accept as obvious, that California is a deep blue state. So we shouldn't be surprised that late mail-in voting heavily favors Democrats. It's just a lie they use to psychologically condition us to accept their fraud as completely normal. When you strip away all the homeless drug addicts and illegal aliens, I'm pretty sure California is probably close to a 50-50 state. And even if it is heavily Democrat, that doesn't explain how the Democrat incumbent mayor Karen Bass received 35 to 40% of the vote on Election Day and the subsequent first 2 days. And then when they realized that Spencer Pratt was expanding his lead against Nithya Raman, she all of a sudden became significantly more popular with Democrats than Karen Bass. And that caused her to surge to second place, locking out Spencer Pratt. And would you be surprised that as soon as 2 Democrats were solidified for the general election, they miraculously stopped counting the votes? And Trump sent a federal attorney to California to investigate these abnormalities, and what he found was pretty shocking. Take a look.
Now, moments after the new numbers came in, Mayor Karen Bass's campaign released a statement attacking Raman and labeling Raman her general election opponent, seemingly ruling out a Pratt comeback. A Bass spokesperson writing, "We look forward to winning a contest against an opponent who allows encampments near schools and fights against hiring more cops, yet is MIA on saving Hollywood jobs and fighting back when ICE invades LA." Now, on Friday, we interacted with with an assistant U.S. attorney inside the ballot counting facility here. The DOJ says he was observing. And the first assistant U.S. attorney in L.A., Bill Asaley, says California has refused to give the federal government its voter rolls and allows first-time voters to use IDs like gym and debit cards. Asaley also writes, California allows third parties to collect and turn in ballots on voters' behalf, a practice known as ballot harvesting with few restrictions. This makes it difficult to track who actually received, completed, and submitted each ballot.
But there's a line in the law that says that actually the proof that you mailed your ballot on or just before election day, even if it arrives after election day, it's not just the postmark. You can write it. You can handwrite the date.
Wow.
And that counts. It's not. I was talking about this at the last elections. I had the whistleblower from the Postal Service explaining this. So just to be really clear what that means, you can backdate your ballot
by hand.
Counted by hand, and it will be counted. That's how insane this system is.
The Democrat Party has complete and total institutional capture over California. They have written the laws to ensure self-preservation of the Democrat Party. There is no organic way a Republican could ever unseat a Democrat for a prominent position in California if they can harvest an infinite amount of ballots from illegal aliens and homeless people, backdate them by hand, and then be allowed to take months to count the votes. It's basically the same way North Korea technically has elections. You can technically vote for whoever you want in California, but the winners have already been decided. But Nithya Raman, who they call the Zohran Mamdani of Los Angeles, is another foreign-born socialist who's here to meddle in American politics and destroy the country from within. And she is heavily supported and endorsed by the Democrat Socialists of America, obviously. And on their website, I kid you not, they provided a step-by-step instruction on how to rig the election in her favor.
Let me break down for you how the cheating is being done. I'd like to thank my good friends, the DSA, for being so overt about it. On their website, you can see how to ballot delivery, where the electioneering and election manipulation, because it's legal, it's not cheating, right? Here's what they say. Ballot delivery. I love this. Actually, we can just jump to elections. Here you go. Look at this. DSA is not a political party. We enthusiastically support candidates and elected officials who share our values and use their influence to build working class power. Well, you got there a list of endorsements, their voter guide, how to register, how to vote in LA, how to check ballot status, and ballot delivery. Want to help someone fill out their ballot and take it to a Dropbox for them? Follow these simple steps. Okay. Would you imagine that those simple steps are going to be something like knock on the door? Or actually, if you want to help someone, it's your friend is sitting next to you and says, I can't make it, I have work. You say, don't worry, fill it out, I'll take it for you and drop it off. That sounds like ballot delivery, right? Or maybe you're an activist. Maybe. And you knock on the door and you say, hi, have you voted? And they say, I did. You're like, well, I'll drop off that ballot for you. I'm not a fan of that, but at least that sounds a little bit more on the level. No. Confirm strong candidate support, step 1. If voting for other candidate, thank them and move on. Let me just stress this again. The DSA is explicitly stating, if they encounter a person who does not want to vote for their guy, thank them and do not assist in the ballot delivery.
So in California, they mail a ballot to every single registered voter, whether they request one or not. And so Democrats are able to go door by door and extract votes from people who might otherwise not vote at all. This is why the Democrat Party is so obsessed with mail-in voting and so hell-bent on expanding voter accessibility. They try to make it sound morally coded when it's really just a cover to engage in widespread national voting fraud. If Republicans were doing the exact same thing, Democrats would accuse them of voter suppression, voter intimidation. When elections are allowed to run indefinitely and ballots can be backdated to become eligible even though they aren't, the party that's already in control will obviously write the rules to ensure that they always win. And because this is the authoritarian strategy Democrats always employ when they're in power, we need to fully understand the danger we'll be in if they regain power nationally. The Democrat platform isn't popular, it's completely contrived. Their relevance relies on things like racist congressional maps, paying drug addicts and illegal aliens to vote, widespread voter fraud through mail-in voting, and elections that can go on indefinitely until the candidate of their choice eventually wins. But unfortunately for Democrats, the Supreme Court is stepping in and is about to put an end to all of that nonsense.
We have lots of phrases that involve two words, the second of which is day. Labor Day, Memorial Day, George Washington's birthday, Independence Day, birthday, and election day. And they're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase election day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place. Or almost everything.
We're the most advanced country on earth. There should be no reason it takes us days or weeks to codify election results. To have a trustworthy election system means you must make trade-offs, and Democrats want trade-offs that favor accessibility. Republicans want trade-offs that favor security. If you want people to have faith in the integrity of their elections, you can't have a system in which a well-informed citizen's vote gets canceled out by some homeless drug addict who got paid $100 to fill out a ballot. Countries like North Korea have extremely high voter turnouts. 99% of adults vote. And the California strategy is much like the North Korea strategy. They fix the election right out in the open because they want to demoralize the voters. They want them to know that it's rigged. They want Republicans to voluntarily give up on trying to change the political climate, because eventually Republicans will just stop showing up to vote and California gets to save money because they don't have to spend it on cheating. But once the Supreme Court prevents election day from actually being election week or election month, that will give Republican voters across the nation something Democrats have desperately been trying to take away from them: hope. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for letting us stay a little late so that I can go here. I appreciate it. And thank you to the witnesses for taking the time, Professor McCord, Mr. Banger, Dr. King, and Mr. Fair. I really appreciate y'all taking the time to be here. Mr. Fair, do you recognize the tattoo on this man's chest? This is Secretary Hegseth.
No.
It's a tattoo of the Jerusalem cross. Your organization has referred to it as essentially a hate image. Do you agree with that assessment?
I'd have to see the assessment in our material to determine.
Referred to it as a hateful.
I'm not familiar with the symbol.
You're not familiar. Do you have any thoughts on that symbol, on that tattoo?
No, I don't.
No, none at all? You don't have any opinion on it?
No, I don't.
Okay. What about this tattoo? Do you have an opinion on this tattoo?
I'm not an expert on tattoos. No, I don't.
Okay. I can give you a little bit of background. This is a tattoo on Maine Democrat Senate candidate Grand Plattner's chest. That's the Nazi SS death head tattoo. Do you have any opinions on that?
If it's what you say, if it's a Nazi symbol,
Mm-hmm.
We oppose Nazis.
We oppose, I agree, we do oppose Nazis. Do you think if somebody got a Nazi tattoo on their chest, that's indicative that they might be a Nazi?
You'd have to ask Mr. Plattner why he has that symbol. I've already said that if it is a symbol of Nazism, we oppose Nazis.
You don't think that that's indicative that perhaps he holds Nazi sentiments?
It may well be.
It may well be. I think, do people who aren't Nazis normally get Nazi tattoos on their chest?
Again, I assume they don't.
You assume they don't? I would assume so too. I don't know anybody who's not a Nazi. I don't know anybody who has a Nazi tattoo on their chest but is not a Nazi. Do you?
No.
Do you think that somebody who has a Nazi tattoo on their chest should serve in the United States Senate?
I wouldn't vote for that person.
I certainly wouldn't either. Do you think that this should disqualify him politically from serving in the Senate?
Again, I'm not sure where the line of questions is going. The SPLC, if you're asking me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If you're asking me if the SPLC opposes Nazis and Nazi symbols, the answer is yes.
Yep. The SPLC has referred to this same tattoo as a racist skinhead symbol and tattoo. You can see the resemblance there. You wouldn't want somebody with a tattoo like that in the Senate?
No.
No, I wouldn't either. I appreciate.
Hey, love, you was talking. I'm sorry, I was on the phone while
I solved the problem. I was going to try to get you to call someone, but they answered the phone.
Okay, so what's going on with you now?
I'm trying to get home.
You on your way?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
You're not watching the dot?
Nah, these phones is off the fucking chain, yo. Like, real talk. I can't wait till they start